Bada bing, bada boom. We're online. We're here. I've got a new haircut. You don't know what's going to happen next. You have no idea what's going to happen next.
That's how you
Well,
know it's
I
going to
do.
be great.
so, welcome back. You are with the Roll for Mischief crew, or as I like to say, your favorite nerds. And here we are today, going to be continuing this new episode that I, Kyle, am dungeon mastering. I've called this one Minutes to Midnight, Episode 10. This will be the second session of this one. And we have the grand return of Joshua Brickley playing Fiala Aloro. And we'll go ahead and get Fiala kind of worked in at the appropriate time. So, before we really get rolling on the game, any special announcements that we got to make?
I'm in the middle. I mean, I have a lot of other things going on in my life right now, but I am in the process of migrating the videos over from YouTube to Twitch. It will take some time because it involves a lot of downloading one episode, editing them back together, and then reloading them up to Twitch. But the process will be, and I've only done episode 9 so far, and I don't remember if I've uploaded last episode of this Bull or the Winds of War or not, but it is a process that I am working on. It's a process that I'm working on essentially.
All right.
So it'll all be. I will still maintain whatchamacallit, Mischief and Misfits on YouTube as well.
Excellent.
Cool.
That's it.
The rest of us lead boring lives.
Really?
It's true.
Do you, though?
Yep.
I mean, I
Okay.
could tell you all about what's going on in my life, but none of it is relevant to this game. So,
Well, that's fair. So, this would be where we would roll the credits, but unfortunately, I haven't been able to prepare those quite yet. Hoping to come at you next week with the credits.
For a moment there, I
No.
thought like, oh crap, did I get an email
No,
with credits?
no, I wasn't gonna throw you under the bus, Drew. Like it was all Drew's fault, actually. No, it's this guy. It's this guy. Hoping to come at you next week with snazzy new credit sequence. We'll just do the Wayne's World where they're like, biddle, 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 biddle. All right, and let's go ahead and transition onto group therapy. How does each of your characters feel about the current situation that occurred last session?
Should we do a full session recap before going into?
that might help. It has been 2 weeks.
Oh, it has been 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm gonna then mute my audio because I, as a player, or I wasn't there, so I want to ensure that I basically come in as if I was not there. So give me like a little hand signal or something once you guys are done with the recap.
Okay, sure.
I don't want to accidentally metagame.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
However you want to handle it.
Cool.
Now, I'm hearing that he does want to metagame on purpose. Okay, cool. I'm glad we had this
Word.
talk.
Word.
Uh,
Okay, so
Right.
so do you guys want me to kind of tell you what was going on, or do you want to try and piece it together, or?
Let's see.
I'm trying to recall the details. I think because I've got so many things swimming around
Word.
from the
Well,
last few things. Because if
It
memory
ha-
serves,
I know it took place immediately after
yeah.
our last.
yeah,
So
and we got back. There was something to do with the druids as well.
yeah, so it
We stopped
started
by
at
the
Bronzewood Grove essentially, and that is where Egner and Fiala kind of departed from you guys, saying that Egner needed to go on his pilgrimage to hang out with Yavrana, his goddess homie, dude. So that was essentially what he wanted to do. Fiala agreed to come with him, And then Eridu ended up spending a good amount of time with the druids to
Yeah.
learn some stuff from them, and ended up picking up a
Yeah.
few tricks and learning some druid related tricks and stuff and
Right.
all that kind of
Because I needed to
stuff.
be able to have my come on, Asa. Oh, my reason for leveling into druid. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that worked. And then you continued
Yep.
on to Twin Harbor and quickly met up with Emily. And Emily painted a very dire picture for you all. In your absence, things have mobilized very quickly in Twin Harbor against you guys and against the resistance. Um, they have publicly identified Emily and Halifax to be members of the resistance, and there's wanted posters saying that they want them dead or alive. Uh, and Halifax was able to obtain some information. Many Bothan spies died to bring us this information, but it was
Understandable.
it was some information that they're using a building called Rook's Tower in Twin Harbor to as a like divination magic center essentially, and they were keeping eyes on the whole city that way. And Emily, with some help from Finnegan, with some kind of devices that Finnegan helped put together for her, she wants you guys to go blow up Rook's Tower and gouge their eyes out, as she put it. And while she is going to go to the square where Akram died, and she is going to raise a bunch of hell and have the perfect distraction for you guys to go accomplish what you need to do at Rook's Tower. Oh, and she's also going to
Sounds
go.
good.
She's going to go to the square with members of the Tranquility crew, and they're going to fucking do it big for Akram, dude.
All right.
So that's kind.
Alright.
So group therapy. How do your characters kind of feel about it?
Um, well, Halifax, I think, remembers more the sneaking into Twin Harbors than any of that whole like boring exposition thing. Nah, he's all about the James Bonding it. Uh, um, Halifax is definitely concerned about the fact that Emily and he have these targets on their backs, essentially. That's a big hindrance to his ability to move around, help people, which was the main reason he left the Azamar in the first place. This, like, taking out Rook's Tower or taking it down, whatever specific route we go with, because I remember that was quite a section of the last episode as well, as discussing like how we were gonna go about blinding them in this way. It's something that Halifax recognizes as helpful to him and not to other people, like directly. It allows him to help other people, but that's him starting to feel like maybe he's being he's going to start working against the people that he's trying to protect in order to do this, because this is Twin Harbor. This is guards people that are locals that are trying to just look after everyone else. So I think because Halifax has had a little time to think this over, he's going to try maybe talking to some guards, see if he can get some support from within to help them take this thing out. Yeah.
All right. What about?
Oh, should we give?
Oh,
should we give a signal to Josh?
he wants
No,
he wants to stay out for the rest of the
Okay,
group
okay,
therapy.
okay.
We'll bring him in a second.
Yeah. Once Eridu does his thing, then.
Yeah.
So, man, Eridu's becoming a bit more of a weapon. As I kind of think about my approach, this is another target that needs to be neutralized. And yeah, there is still very much the person that is is doing this for the town that he loves. It wants to like keep Twin Harbor safe, but I think there's becoming a very strong line between him and the enemy. Uh, and even though, as a player, I don't think Eridu's got a strong idea who the enemy is. I think he's pretty convinced that that everything that Garth is doing and everything that both factions, both kingdoms are doing, is wrong and is going to lead towards more pain and suffering. And he is kind of shifting in his mentality from standing up for your virtues to the ends justify the means.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of where he's going now. Is it's Rook Tower needs to be neutralized. This is something that Emily has given to him as a target. It's a lot easier for him to move forward and take on a goal than it is for him to stop and consider all the ramifications of all of their actions constantly.
Mm.
So I think this next episode is going to shift that a little more. Up until this point, he enjoyed being a bear, so that was the whole reason why I did the stuff with the druids, and he's understanding the value of shapeshifting and how easy it is to go unnoticed in a public space when you can pretend to be something that is so minuscule that people won't pay attention to you.
Mm. Also makes me think of like maybe Eridu's thinking of his quasi relationship that never was with Breedis. You know, he's like getting
Mm-hmm.
some kind of like memories of how Breedis would take the form of a rat and be able to hide in plain sight like that.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of emotions there too, because Breedis is never going to walk again, and he feels like it's partially his fault. But then again, up until this point, Eridu's felt like a lot of things are partially his fault. Um, and I think he's hitting a point where he just goes, "Yeah, yep, it happened. It's probably my fault. I'm gonna do more," rather than trying to like be, rather than like actively like feeling the constraints of all the terrible things. He's just like, "No, it happened to me. I did it. Like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
now what next?"
For real.
So
All
yeah, I
right.
don't know. It's I'm not sure how he feels about this one. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
Mhm.
All right. All right, you back with us, my dude?
Yep, I
Cool,
am back.
cool. Uh, Josh, want to give you an opportunity if you want to at all. Uh, have a little group therapy kind of thing where you talk about how Fiala felt about hanging with Agner. You know, like if you want to say anything about that or not, it's totally cool.
Um, I mean, I will say going on a pilgrimage for Eigner to have him find his connection with the spider goddess, which she would know as Joro. So Joro Weaver something. I forget the full title right now. Um, uh, he just assumes that she's been calling the same, because she's a drow, so maybe it's just like it's just a different name, to Eigner.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but she does have a lot of, at best, mixed feelings about it because Joro is the Drow's primary goddess, and uh, the reason why uh, Theala lost everything, because she originally started as a noble, as the firstborn of a noble family, was because she didn't follow Joro, she followed Anesdi. and so she has at best mixed feelings about. I mean, I don't think she necessarily has anything wrong against the goddess herself, other than, I mean, she's lawful evil, but she's still lawful. So I mean, that's not really the big concern for her. Um, but she has she still has like kind of mixed feelings about it. Oh, Weaver of Shadows.
That's the one.
Yeah, so she, went with Aigner. I mean, she went with Aigner the way that I look at it. She went with Aigner because she and Aigner still have no connection. She has obviously a connection with Eridu.
Obviously, has a connection with Halifax.
She has a connection with Halifax, although they technically never, in the real world, had that connection. In her mind, they had that connection for several years.
Yeah.
So, which she's never reconciled. She's still not really done that at all.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Halifax is equipped for that either. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy to have a lot of experience there. I'm not saying no experience, but it feels like he doesn't have a lot of experience. Aigner, she has almost no, like, there's nothing really connecting.
It's a professional relationship.
Yeah, it's a professional relationship. So she largely decided to go because they've been working a lot of missions together, and she does know Joro. Like, she doesn't obviously personally, but she's aware of the goddess, and so she was willing to go along because kind of, at least she's aware, and she doesn't have, like, a lot of people like look at the Weaver of Shadows as being an evil deity, and she knows Joro as an Order Domain lawful deity. That's how she was raised up in, so she has a different perspective. So she was had a different perspective of going with Aigner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, specifically, that's what the trip with Aigner was.
Mm-hmm. What about when Aigner and Thiala reached Giant's Tomb Valley, and then Aigner said, "I must go alone. Don't worry, I know the way."
Honestly, because the gods are not present as far as the people know, they don't exist, or they existed a long time ago and have retreated. That is up to your belief structure. I feel like Thiala believes that all of the gods at one point were present in the worlds, but have removed themselves for one reason or another, and so either Aaron or Aigner is just talking out of his ass, or there's always a chance that for whatever reason she's touched him, and so he does know where to go. Either way, they don't have a personal relationship yet, so she only has so much concern over that. She's like, I got him to a point he told me to leave. I got to know him a little bit better, but I mean, which is good. They're eking towards a more personal relationship. Rao elves are elves. They live for, hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And a couple of days is like hanging out with, having brunch with somebody that you kind of know. Like, it's just not enough to develop to have a actual relationship with.
Word.
Yeah, that's where she would be at with that specifically. She would just be, it would just be a thing for a ally and whatnot. I think that's
Like a homie.
yeah,
Well, sweet.
yeah, like an associate.
Mm-hmm.
Like you help your like coworkers like moving, and you help them move.
So, like I said, it's a professional relationship.
Yeah, it's a professional. It's a professional relationship. You guys are acquainted coworkers.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, in that case, with everyone kind of up to speed, audience members and party members alike, we kind of ended the last session in the evening time. There's a lot of discussion with Emily. She was very frazzled looking. She had these heavy bags under her eyes, suggesting that she hasn't been getting a lot of sleep. She was trying to drink some herbal tea, and actually it was a Nez tea. She was drinking a Nez tea. It was.
Hold on, that
some
wasn't a
good
big
tea.
enough eye roll.
Need a bigger one.
That's an amazing joke.
So she took her Inez tea all the way to her room, went to bed, and I kind of imagined that Halifax and Eridu stayed up for some hours longer, talking, strategizing, and then they got to bed. And we start session 2 with the new dawn. Emily has always kind of been one of those early riser types, especially since she's, become the head of the resistance. Like, she's, up at 5:30 at least. Up at 5:30, she's in the kitchen area. She's clinking all sorts of pots and pans around. She's
She's
making,
essentially Princess Leia.
yeah. She's making all sorts of noise with vigorous sounds of cooking, and the very delicious smells from the kitchen start to lure Halifax and Eridu into there. And she
Alright.
she greets you both with a curt nod and a grunt, an early morning grumpy kind of grunt. She shoves coffee, two steaming mugs of coffee, in your faces, and says, "How'd you sleep?"
Fitfully.
I don't tend to sleep.
Ah, yes. I forget that kind of thing. Did you have a good
It's
talk?
been eating me very much lately. I believe so. I think we have a pretty solid idea of how we're going to handle our next mission.
Very well. The explosives. I need to tell you, it's Finnegan specified that they will explode, and and she looks very anxiously over in the corner on the shelf where the explosives are piled, and she says, "They will explode if you say a particular command word that, for obvious reasons, I cannot say right now." And then she takes a piece of paper and writes down hastily the command word and shows it to you.
There is.
Ooh, what's the command word?
Oh, it's
Say it, Kyle,
backwards.
say it.
It's backwards. Okay, so you
Conflagra.
conflagra.
Conflagra. There's an impish part of my brain that
Yeah.
really wants Halifax to be like, Conflagra? What?
Nick 2 Varata. I had to do an Army of Darkness reference. So
Yeah.
so she gives you one of these, and then gives you the piece of paper with the conflagra written on it, and she's like, okay. So, and the other
God, I
thing.
wish I was playing a more smart-assy character.
And the other thing is that you can't be too far away. uh, this is the dangerous part. You need to be close enough so that the command word will properly activate all four of the explosives at the same time. You need to be within 60 feet. But you also need to be able to find cover so that you're not blasted by the explosion. So that's something that you're going to have to figure out.
Yeah, that is a very close range to be.
I know,
Jeez.
believe me. I was trying to talk Finnegan into fixing it to
Further?
be safer. I just wanted it to be a safer process, but he just kept droning on and on and on about how much this was costing him to do in the first place, and he was already working miracles, and it's not very nice of a beggar to beg for even more miraculous miracles. I don't know. You know how he is. You know how he is.
Unfortunately. Well, we'll figure it out.
I do hope so. And then Emily goes to take a long drink of her coffee, and just at that moment, there is a particular loud kind of sound and a white flash, and it startles Emily, and she spills coffee all over her mouth and on her like armor, whatever she's wearing. And you both remember that the kitchen area is the area in which Finnegan had set up his teleportation circle. And that particular sound and that particular flash indicated that the teleportation circle has been utilized.
Very
I
good.
mean, one of the first things that he says had better not be the word. uh, is it that Finnegan's teleported into the room?
Are your characters looking backward? Are your characters going to look in the direction of the...
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Okay. You see
Yeah.
I mean, when somebody-
Theala. You see Theala.
Oh, look,
Oh,
it's a Theala.
Hey.
It appears we have found a Theala. This is good.
Theala, please. I mean, you startled me. I'm covered in coffee. Ugh.
allow me to fetch a towel, Emily.
Thank you.
Go
Thank you.
get a towel.
Thank you.
There's a very simple way of solving this problem. You just don't drink the stuff. Do you have some tea?
Yes, fine. Yeah, help yourself. Fiala, where is Egner?
I walk over and like pour myself some coffee and drink it, and I go, he's on a personal errand.
So I've heard. I really wish he could be here. He is such a valuable asset.
He has a corner of a use.
Very well.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have to.
that was more of a personal joke than it was.
Well, for sure. But you got to remember, for Emily, she has very fond feelings of Egner.
I know.
Because
That was Josh making a joke.
Oh, for sure. No, I understand. But Emily, I mean, I'm so proud of the fact that it was Egner in his crazy spider form that saved Emily all the way back in episode 2, man. That was, dude. Egner. Go Egner. Okay. So anyways, all three of your characters are together again.
Uh-huh.
That's what's up.
Shall you fill her in, or shall I?
What are you? Right. Yes, yes, Eridu. I think a briefing would be in order.
Good. I'm going to make more coffee.
That is what I meant. What were you considering?
Thiala, a seat?
I'd rather stand.
Quite. Quite. Yes, of course. Um, so, we are on a
Suicide mission? Well, that's what we should call it, right?
I believe something more akin to a noble quest. Um, basically, Thiala, we need to go and blow up a building.
Okay.
Um, now, I've been doing some ruminating during the evening, and I found it very difficult to settle on what would be the best course of action. Uh, Wizard fellow, um, Finnegan. There we go. Uh, genuinely forgot his name. Uh, I was like, not Rick.
It's definitely not
Uh,
Rick. He's kind of like Rick, though.
Finnegan left some materials for us to use, and he suggested that we use those to destroy the building. The building's purpose being to divine details about us and others in the town. It's spying on people by removing the capability of the establishment to spy on us. People like Emily and myself, and the two of you by implication, will be able to move about and perform our actions unhindered. I think that the potential loss of life and the lack of opportunity to gauge the disposition of our potential enemy um, is what's stopping me from wanting to go ahead with this mission. I propose, Eridu and Thiala, that we perform some personnel reconnaissance. We speak to some of the guards and discover if any of them have misgivings about the morality of what they're doing, spying on people, just trying to go about their lives. We may be able to gain access to the building to place explosives if we do ultimately land on that being the course of action to take. But I believe the core of what we have to do is just simply stop being spied upon.
Well, blowing up a building is a bit like using a fireball as a fly swatter. But I have some experience in controlled detonations. I haven't ever used explosives before, but the principles of are similar. Just finding the right key areas and to implode as opposed to explode will minimize the loss of life. As far as the guards, a, a, it is very rare that you will find that an action that doesn't break ethical standards is going to be is going to give pause for a soldier. Spying on people is well within the realm of given acceptable behavior for a soldier, and they would consider it no different than waging a war. They slaughtering women and children and are anyone really defenseless. You know, those who are not trained soldiers, and the like. Those are things that would give them pause. But I don't see them being overly concerned, and in fact, if you talk to them, you risk tipping your hand.
Potentially,
Emily,
yeah.
who guards this tower? Is it the militia? Is it the paladins?
that's a that's
Kyle?
probably an
Wait,
Emily.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was spacing out.
It's all right. We
Yeah.
were asking Emily, does she know exactly who it is that's guarding the tower? Like, is it local militia? Is it paladins?
Yeah,
Mm.
military force from the Free Kingdoms.
Actually, Halifax would be the one to have this information because he had done a certain amount of visual
I
reconnaissance.
did.
Yeah, that was what you were doing the whole last session was like preparing all this information for Emily, having this whole report. So hold on. Halifax will be able to pull out the scroll that he has and say with confidence that there is a presence of just regular city guard there at the tower. But the most visible presence, like he's seen guards, just regular old Twin Harbor city guards, come in and out of the tower. At times, there's a definite changing of the guard that happens inside the tower. On the outside of the tower, posted pretty much all the time, are actually it's kind of like a special new force. It's kind of like how you got the police and then you got SWAT team. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's kind of like that. It's like the city guard have been like the police, and there's also a similar theme with how police are getting like militarized and getting like really badass equipment or whatever. It's that similar kind of vibe has been happening in Twin Harbor. The city guard generally has becoming more armed,
Or militarized.
more militarized. But then there's this new organization that is kind of the equivalent of like SWAT teams or whatever, and they have been popping up recently, and they are called Templars. This is like a special thing that Orran Vitrell makes a big deal about, and he is his like personal guard escort is like a handful of Templars along with other regular city guard.
So it's almost like a private security situation.
Kind of like that. I mean, they're just like definite, like they're definitely just elite forces. I mean, they're definitely the most well armed, and probably have some special kind of training that city guards would just not have at all.
Mm.
If you guys, how familiar are the two of you with the goings on of the Tritons? Not very.
Not
Not at all.
very.
I can't say I've seen many of them around this area.
They have a similar type of force. Um, they are known as stormtroopers. Um, um, they are they are considered the most elite force in the world, and very few have the precision or accuracy as them. It feels like I'm trying to keep a straight face here. Um, um, they this feels like a extension of that philosophy of having an elite force of uh, that is uh, that is both law enforcement and kind of uh, kind of the all around best of the best. Kind of law enforcement, soldier if needed to, escorting dignitaries, um, a secret service, if you will. Um, this is
If we were dealing with just town guard, just militia, I would be all on board for doing a bit of reconnaissance and understanding what they know and how much they're willing to be to go along with what this place is doing. But an elite force is probably loyal to the people who pay them, or train them, or supply them, as opposed to a militia, which are just your average people who just want to protect their town. You're right, Theala. An elite force, a group of people who are outsiders or are loyal to a benefactor, are less concerned with the encroachment of personal freedoms. But the average individual would probably not like the idea of some sort of force spying in on them and their families unknown. So, I do believe the bigger concern at hand is how do we neutralize this target with as little casualties as possible. I do know that that Emily is going to create some form of distraction. The eye is not on us, but
Look,
that
if you
probably
can find a way of clearing the building, and I would suggest infiltration and sabotage. If you can, um, perhaps they more than likely have a lot of good intel there, and if we can gather as much as we can, uh, clearing out the building will both be a safe saving lives and gaining us, which will garner support from the populace while also benefiting us. To think like
If we could find whoever's in charge, I believe I could convince them to effect an evacuation of the building.
you
well,
would want to have a middle manager of some kind, a captain or a major, perhaps even a master sergeant level person. They'd be the most likely to react quickly. If you were talking a colonel or a general level or chief master sergeant, those tend to take time to react.
did your reports, did your investigation find any sort of hierarchy that we could exploit?
Let me check my notes.
Sure. uh, Hil- Halifax noted. Halifax noted that with every other changing of the guard, so there'd be like three. Check it out. So there'd be like three guards that go in, and then three other guards go out. There's a changing of that guard. The next time the guard gets changed, you would have three guards come out with another guy who has the insignia of being a guard captain, and he would come out. So four would leave, and then a new guard captain and three new guards would come in. So it's like every other shift they change guard captains out, which means that there's a guard captain always there in the building.
So the guard captains work 16 hours
Yeah.
for every. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. However they do the shifts, it's a 2-to-1 kind of thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, kind of.
That with that knowledge, it would also mean that if we catch a captain during the end of a shift, we might be communicating with someone who's much more fatigued. That might break down their barriers, make them more susceptible to our charming personalities.
I would say 12 hours into their shift, because you don't want a fresh captain. You don't want two captains, even if one of them is.
Yes. That is absolutely a very good point. You do not want to have the changing of the captains happen while we're trying to convince one of them to evacuate.
And from what I
That
heard,
could go very wrong.
you are an effective enchanter. Or not enchanter, but
I think that's right.
Yeah,
He-
yes.
He's an enchanter.
You can refer to me as enchanting. That's fine. But
You're not
certainly
that good.
something I've been
Bust your chest
uh,
out, damn.
something I've been trying to perfect is splitting my enchantments. Normally, I can affect a single person, but something I've been working on, trying to divide the magical energies and affect more people. If the captain of the guard changes for a different captain of the guard, perhaps I can enchant both of them.
Ooh. Ooh.
We still, I would argue, I would rather you enchant the captain and one of the guards than two captains, because the more you spread thin, the more risk you take. Because also, if they are changing out with each two shifts, that also means there are 3 guards and 2 captains, or 6 guards and 2 captains during the
As we definitely would like to avoid. Ooh, unless there's a possibility that we could infiltrate and become the changing of the guard. If there's a captain and 2 guards.
How many guards are there in total in this city? How well
We
would
have
they know each
uniforms.
other?
We have uniforms for people who are going through the city as assistants, those who are helping to maintain order, but not those in the actual guard.
True.
We
Very
would
true.
have to procure guards' uniforms and likely some sort of paperwork to show that we are a captain of some sort. But we could go in with the changing of the guard, meaning that we would have no concern for interruption. We'll catch the other captain at the peak of his fatigue, perhaps looking forward to a day of going home. And then if he is unwilling to work with us, perhaps we could then be the ones to implement the evacuation.
Hmm.
I do believe a serious change of our appearance is in order, since most of our faces are known within the city.
Well,
And
I have the ability to change. I do believe. Philifax, do you?
I have a change of clothes.
I think a change of face is what we're needing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have the ability to change my visage, clothes, and face. I could even go so far as to look like the captain. I just. We just need to be careful with. Actually, I gave you that. I gave you that spell. You have that spell. You have disguise self. I know because I gave you that spell.
Did you give him that spell in reality, or was it just in the dreamscape?
No, I gave him.
That's the real question.
No, I gave him that spell. Oh, actually, I don't know.
Alter self. I've got alter self.
That's
Should have
even
disguised self.
better. That's even better than disguise self.
Well, I mean, not really, because I think Alter Self, if I remember correctly, doesn't change your appearance. It just changes like certain functions of your body. If I remember correctly.
I think it does change some
You
of their
sort
shit.
assume a different form when you cast a spell. Choose one of the following options. One of the options being change appearance. You transform your appearance. You decide what you look like, including height, weight, facial features, sound of your voice, hair length, coloration, and distinguishing characteristics. Oh, awesome! Make yourself appear as a member of another race, though none of your statistics change.
Okay, so you have Alter Self.
I'm not. I just had one of those moments of like, oh, you have a spell that changes the way you look, and realization of how that would affect the world. And I don't mean like in a, oh, you're gonna pretend to be somebody like what we're doing now, but like on a daily basis, those people who are like, my nose is too big or my hairline is too far back, like how many of them are gonna use magic for something vain, like changing their appearance?
A lot of them is the answer.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
pretty decent spell list or spell level for.
Well, I
Yeah.
just mean the fact that it exists in a world. Like, I mean, even if it's not that person having access to that spell, someone who can cast that spell and somebody else can just set up a shop and be like, well, I'm going to change your appearance. And then you have essentially magical.
Literally,
We have that in this world. It's called plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Right. Now, that's what I was saying. You have essentially like magical plastic surgeons And
Yeah.
man,
Um,
okay. Quick aside, out of the way. Back to the game. I'm sorry.
let's see. Well, yeah. If you have, can alter self? Is it only on self?
It is.
Okay. So really, the only person that we need to uh, not concern ourselves with is Eridu, which I'm not gonna lie, I'm okay with.
Hmm.
Well,
Um,
I have a potential idea.
yes.
Theala, I think I'm going to need you to punch me in the face several times.
Okay.
Fight Club
The
shit.
eyes,
Fight
the
Club.
nose. If we can make those things not right now, closer to our when we're ready to implement this plan. If we can distort those enough, I believe that will be sufficient to get us through.
What's your cover story?
The cover story is that we were assaulted in some form of riot. We do know that the what is Emily's little group? Resistance,
I mean, there's
right?
no like official name,
Official
but
name.
Resistance has just been the colloquial kind of name. Like
Yeah.
we are resisting
Yeah,
them.
we know the resistance has been active. We know that they're amping up guardship for a reason. It wouldn't be out of line to have these little skirmishes in the streets.
You would be better suited. I have no doubt that the Resistance has tried this before. You would probably be better suited having your assault be done by the Resistance in front of them than attempting to just show up with some bruises quite randomly. So having you on patrol nearby, perhaps with Halifax, having them ambush the two of you, and um, uh, you taking a beating, and Halifax and I taking you into the tower for aid might be the best possible cover.
Hmm. I suppose that could work. Might seem a bit of if Emily has men to spare, men who will undoubtedly be thrown into prison for it, because I don't think they'll get away. But if they do, great for them.
Well, we're setting up the situation. They'll have an escape route.
All right. Well, I guess the major concern now is getting uniforms, getting documentation. Um,
In an emergency situation, they're not going to ask for documentation. They're going to see 3 guards, and you're going to need emergency care, and they're not going to concern themselves with call and responses or documents or whatever. They're going to, in the chaos and confusion, they're going to just help you.
Ooh, something has occurred. If, as when we first all met each other, there is the smuggling of powerful and dangerous artifacts by some of the major powers through Twin Harbor, does that not suggest that there are those within Twin Harbor who operate in the less savory elements of the town? Do we not know any smugglers or criminals who might be able to procure a few uniforms for us?
I am
Maybe
almost
something in the
certain
way
we
of
do not.
something in the way of a dwarf that perhaps has a shipping company. I'm just spitballing here. I've personally never met a dwarf who runs a shipping company, but if
You've personally never met a dwarf?
um,
He's
okay,
never met a dwarf. That's what he said.
I Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Never met a dwarf. I get it.
Not even
Yeah.
Hellborn.
No,
No.
we may
I
in
think
fact
I
have
would
contact
assume
still.
that at some point Emily's procured uh, uniform.
We have Darius. We have connections with Darius, who runs the South Theoden ship. He's South Theoden, isn't he?
Uh,
Or is that
no.
South
No,
Theoden is
No,
his rival?
that's Vitrell's.
Or yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember the name of his company, but
It's just like the family name, pretty much.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Buffalo Enterprises or something like that.
they are they
I mean-
are West Side though, because they're Mountain Dwarves.
Mhm.
So I'm not
Mm.
sure what their loyalties are.
Oh, did he leave the city as well?
He did.
Oh, damn it.
I had actually had him leave, yeah, during one of my games.
Yeah, because I
Because
think
dwarf crackdown was happening within Twin Harbors, and people
Ooh.
like the paladins were rounding up dwarves in the streets.
because I don't think Halifax has actually like properly met the guy.
No.
No.
Mm.
Damn.
But we do know a couple of his. We know the places he was at, and it's very unlikely that he. I'm going to say this in game. You know, Eridu would bring up the fact that we know Darius and that he likely left. We do know the places that he spent a lot of time at, and it's very unlikely he would have not left his agents in the city. But just because his life was in danger doesn't mean that he's going to abandon his business practices entirely.
Hmm.
If we go to the places that he would normally be, perhaps we can get in contact with some of his associates and see what can be done.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm trying to find the name of that. So it was like
The
some-
tavern or bar
Yeah.
or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking it up too.
I also am not aware. That was a long.
It's the Bottle and
Oh.
Blade Tavern.
That's it.
The Bottle and Blade.
Yeah, let's head to a seedy underbelly and see if we can rustle up some disguises and just cool stuff.
So we're going to make our way towards a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yep.
You know it.
Alright.
So many references this session. I
So
love
many
it.
Star Wars
So many
references.
Star Wars references.
Okay.
Emily comes in, and she has changed out of her coffee-stained whatever that she was wearing this morning. She looks a little more prepared. She's got her sleek leather armor on. She's got her little knives and whatever kind of like hidden around. She has got a very stern look on
Here's
her
leather
face.
armor?
Okay, she's got no armor.
I
She's
think
a
you
monk.
forget
Okay.
that she was a monk. Yeah, man.
I'm sure, like she's a whatever
She's got
person.
monk
she's
armor.
she's
Yeah,
got
she's got her monk. Yeah,
she's got
she's
whatever she needs
Sunstone
to.
monk.
Sure, she's got whatever she needs to kick ass on.
Okay.
That's what she's got.
She's
And-
monking about.
Yeah, sure. And she's got a very stern look on her face, and her hair is pulled up into a very just like I mean business ponytail. Like don't get in
No
my
buns
way
on the
today.
side.
Yeah, no buns on the side. But
Not this time.
she gives you all a stern look, and she says, "I'm going to go to the square and do my part.
Hmm.
It's time for you
We-
to do yours."
Is this a time crunch that needs to happen now? Because we have some planning we have done that might take a little longer than the moment.
Okay.
It
Look,
is
I
our-
understand that you want to take the time to prepare. And I want to tell you that you can take all the time that you need. But I simply don't know that. I've been living in uncertainty. I've been waiting for the other boot to fall for days. Been waiting for the guards to storm into this hidden hideaway beneath the temple. I don't know when that's going to happen.
You're quite right, Emily. We have had the benefit of picking and choosing the battlegrounds on which we fight for some time now. I suppose it's difficult to get back into the rather hectic and high-strung pressures of city life.
Emily,
Yes?
being a insurgent is difficult. It is not even for anyone or for everyone. It means tough calls and constant fear. It means sacrifices. It means sometimes the best decisions are to wait in abject fear and lose friends. But doing these things also means that you make better long-term victories than short-term successes. And as an insurgent, long-term victories are your eternal goal. If you need, I would suggest that you create a more mobile command structure. If you are worried about being uncovered, and if you think that they've found you already, you should have left already.
I'm not leaving.
Well, then I cannot help you because victory requires sacrifice. And if you want to free your city, and from what I understand, this comes from a place of doing it for your lost love. Would he not want you to be free to save the people of your city versus being connected to a piece of dirt?
Emily's jaw clenches and she bares her teeth and she points at you, Theala, and says, "You will not speak of him. Do not speak of Akrim. You know nothing."
I do know of Akram, and I know of the sacrifice that he made in my people.
Discretion.
Even though I wasn't connected with him at the time, I was not unconnected with him entirely, and he created a lot of problems for my people, at least in a small faction of my people. He was an impressive opponent, but anyone that was willing to do what he did understood the value of sacrifice. No one stands in the middle of a armada that large without understanding that. And no one that does what he did, no one that saved the children, no one that walked into certain death to save you, does so without understanding the value of the long-term effects and the sacrifices that need to be made. If you think a piece of dirt matters, you can stay here and die in it. But if you want to save the city of the man that you loved, that you still love, then you need to make smart plays. You need to win
not cry in a hole.
I understand sacrifice better than you know, and that's why I'm leaving right now to do my part of the plan.
Okay, do your part, and I will win.
And she harumphs off, very angry.
Okay.
I don't think that went
Halifax
as
is
well
going
as
to
you
check out
thought
his
it would.
shoes.
I couldn't understand either of what you said or either of you guys.
Go on, Asa.
I don't think that went as well as you thought it did, or thought it would.
Oh, I had no presumptions of how it would go, and frankly, I am concerned not with her feelings as much as it is the safety of the city, and more importantly, of uh, this war we might have started. I don't want to see loss of life on any side.
I understand that. Um, I'm not sure that I understand. It doesn't matter. Emily is creating a distraction. That is her part of the mission. While she's doing that, we might as well get along with ours. And maybe that might mean waylaying some guards along the way and taking their uniforms. Maybe that might just mean strolling up to the front gate and hoping for the best. The thing we need to make sure we do is avoid the elite guard, the ones that are a constant. Those are our real concern. So if time is not on our side, I guess we should go.
I think that we should wait and watch to see how they react. Because if they don't move, either we have to make a Hail Mary assault, or we have to wait and make the smart play. I am not sacrificing our lives because she refuses to see the truth.
Well, I'm afraid that her efforts hinge on us doing our part in accordance to the plan. If
And I
we
had a discussion
hesitate,
with her, and I explained to her that she needed to play it smart and play it safe. And she stormed off like a child.
I think we find ourselves in a bizarre situation in which there's been a plan at play that has been developed while we've been away, and we are just being asked to be a piece in that plan. I,
It's the plan of a amateur and a plan of Eridu. You and I both have a lot of experience in these. You would think that they would
which
have.
is why we won't get ourselves killed.
I understand, and
there
I.
is-
Well, we may or may not get ourselves killed. There's no guarantee, but either way, she should have listened and heeded the advice that we are giving her, instead of thinking that she has any idea of what's going to happen. She may have been playing games with the local guards, but things are stepping up. She hasn't fought enemies and soldiers the way that we have. She hasn't fought in a game of houses that is drow culture. She doesn't know what dangers exist in front of her. She is a child. You and I have both fought wars longer than she's been alive.
well, I can't exactly speak myself for her history before I met her, but so far she's managed to keep a lot of people very safe and keep a lot of dangers outside of this town. Granted, those dangers have now encroached and we find ourselves in a more defensive position, but still, I've agreed to help Emily in her task, and that is what I shall do.
And
Fiala, you would survive a lot easier with you helping.
I have every intention of helping. It's just, and I am with you, Halifax, and with you, Eridu, am without
barely being given a real proper briefing and a proper plan of action, stepped into this without question. I've done so without argument or even been asked whether I want to do it. I trust the two of you, even though I barely know Emily. We did work together for a very long time, yes, and I was her general, but in my lifespan, the year or two that we worked together was but a month for a human. And I do not hold any level of oh man, I lost my train of thought here. I do not feel that confident in her capabilities, and she believes in her mission, which I appreciate. But I am here without briefing because I trust the two of you. I trust that you have good intentions with this mission. I also trust that the two of you are smart enough not to make a bad play. Emily, we worked together for a long time, but she has not been in a situation as dire as this. Eridu, you and I have worked together under extreme circumstances, and Hillifex, while our time has been short, you have proven to my eyes to be a capable fighter. You were able to stand in front of a dragon, which I did not know existed anymore, and hold your own. And to stand next to it and not blink. These are things that I can trust. I cannot trust the flighted fancy of a child who thinks that she can play soldier, who's been a schoolmarm, as far as I'm concerned, for the past several years.
Well, I believe that it is time that we make our own move then.
Yes. The timeline, of course, is changed.
Yes, I agree. We should take best advantage of Emily's choice to make a distraction. Whether or not it ends with her sacrifice, that is a decision she made. We had a long discussion about that before you arrived as to how dangerous this would be on her personally. That is a decision she's come to on her own. We should make our own plan. We should follow it. We should be able to be loose, run by the seat of our whatever we wear around ourselves. And I believe of all of this plan, the weakest is Finnegan's bombs. Though we should take them with us and use them potentially if as a last resort, there has got to be a better way of neutralizing this tower than blowing it up and causing absolute destruction.
During this entire conversation, I would like to have been distracted by the explosives and then start like making measurements with just my arms and things and like doing gestures and working out in my head how we're going to transport them from here to the tower in a clandestine fashion.
How which
That is a good question.
Rushed off, we would have had time to do. How many explosives are there?
So there are 4 of them.
How big?
As far as the dimensions, I mean, let me grab like my pillow here for comparison. It's not as wide as the pillow. Maybe you take like half of this pillow, and yeah, so about half of the pillow. You imagine like a white canvas sack that's about this big with the half, and it's just like packed tight with powder. And it's got the explosive rune on one side.
Okay.
Alright.
Pick one of them.
So we should take these pillow bombs.
Take one of them. I agree with Hilleffects. 4 is too many. Take one of them, strategically place it, and that is all we'll need.
All right then. I think this is wise. I think this whole situation is quite. Yes.
How we get in there, though?
Leave
We
that
wait for them
to
to-
me.
All right then.
Did you want me to teleport in there?
Can you do that?
Herein lies the
Oh.
real question. Hilleffects, is that something that is going to be doable? You're the one who cased the place. Did they have some sort of defense against internal magic usage? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, given Eridu's last few experiences with the Bureau, he knows a little bit more about magic now than he did earlier, and he does know it's possible to defend a place with magic against magic.
So yeah, I'll quickly check my notes, and I assume that I didn't find. I don't think I ever went inside, so my knowledge of the inside will be.
Yeah, you never went inside. As far as like active measures that they have inside of there, that's kind of inconclusive for you. But I will say this. Go in with a thought experiment. Like if Hillophax casts not disguise self, sorry, detect magic. If he casts detect magic and he looks at the tower, if he's looking for like an anti-magic field, how would that show up? I think it would just be a void.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a void.
Yeah, it's just a complete void. So even though you can't see it, the fact that it's a void would tell you that it's like an anti-magic area. And when you scan the tower in that way, you did not see a void. But you did see lots of things, lots of pings here and there that indicate that there's a lot of divination magic happening in there.
Can also go invisible, obviously. Oh, there's divination magic.
Lots of divination magic in the
Divination
tower.
or abjuration.
What?
Divination or
Divination.
Okay.
Lots of divination magic.
Okay. Divination I'm less worried about than I am abjuration.
For sure. So, I think it's about a good time to take a break and let you guys kind of mull it over.
Man, that's abjurant.
What?
No? Not a good joke? Okay.
No, not a good joke. Sorry.
Was
Love
that
you
an
guys.
abjuration magic pun?
Kind of.
Don't do
All
it.
right. I'm good at taking a break. I could use a coffee.
Okay.
I could use not this root beer. This root beer is old
Oh
and
yeah.
not good.
Oh yeah. All right, folks. We'll be
I
right
say here,
back.
I'll have it.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Folks, thank you so much
All right,
for
we'll be
joining
back.
us. We'll be right back and I don't know, maybe they'll blow something up. I don't know. All right.
Who knows?
Bye. See ya.